morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know I am. It feels like Christmas morning. Why, you might ask? Because after logging in into my favorite game on Earth, Ascension, of course, I discovered it was no longer lagging. As luck might have it, some people, not me, like who would do this? Nobody would do this, obviously. Some people took like a 1 week holiday to be ready for chapter 2 and have fun and really grind the shit out of the game. And then, sadly, lag slapped us across the face. But now, on the last day of my holiday, we're back, baby. We're finally back. The lag is gone and we can play the game. So, with this occasion, I'm going to come at you with a really no bullshit guide. I'm going to be as fast and concise and direct as possible on the wonderful build that is Frozen Chaos. Let's get straight into it. Frozen Chaos. Your Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Cone of Cold, and Frost Shock crits give you Frozen Chaos and reset the cooldown of Chaos Bolt. And this basically makes your Chaos Bolt have no cooldown and do 30% increased damage. The nice thing about this, with all the Frost interactions and pure Chaos Bolt, which is modified by Frost modifiers, is that you essentially have pure Chaos Bolts on demand whenever you want at no cooldown and 30% more damage. And the same applies to Chaos Meteors, as we will see. So, the format of the video, I will simply go through all the talents that I identified as being kind of optimal and discuss how they interact and let you know what their deal is. Ice Barrage, very simple. As you Frostbolt, you get an icicle, and when you press Ice Lance, you release these icicles. You can see it does around 1.5, 2% of my single target damage. It would do even more if I fully optimized it. Molten Earth. Lava Lash releases Molten Earth, a flame strike looking effect that burns enemies. It is very nice both for single target and for AoE. To let you know, the main purpose of this spec is Uncapped AoE in Mythic Plus, so this is what we were going for. This is why Molten Earth is included. The value it brings in Uncapped AoE is very, very big. Primordial Fury, while Shamanistic Rage is active, your crits with damaging spells now use 50% of your rage, and it does weapon damage plus some elemental damage. The nice thing about this is if you're running this weapon, the Aura Stone Hammer, very slow swinging, you end up having quite a lot of weapon damage. As you can see, 900 to 1k. As a reference, my TG Warrior has around like 1k to 1.2k. So nearly TG level just from the spell power scaling and the slow weapon speed. Lava Freeze, as you Lava Lash, your Cone of Cold does more damage, and your Frostbolt and Deep Freeze do more damage. Those are kind of your bread and butter in single target. You can see Deep Freeze is doing 13% of my single target. Um, Elemental Rend, 10% more frost damage. Corrupted Maelstrom Weapon. It is how we get the instant cast Pure Chaos Bolts, and also way more damage on the Pure Chaos Bolt, as well as the Chaos Meteor. Spreading Prism, we do play with Ice Prism, so we take every single Ice Prism talent. This one allows us to refresh Ice Prism and also spread it to nearby targets with Cone of Cold, which is insane value in AoE. Holy Shatter, Pure Chaos Bolt actually acts as a holy spell, so it does proc Holy Shatter. As you can see here, it did 3% of my single target, but it also cleaves in uncapped AoE, so once again it's very nice to bring. If you are funneling a single target prio mob like that needs to die, you are still doing AoE cleave across the mobs. Biting Cold, reduce cooldown on Deep Freeze and a little bit more Ice Lance damage, even though we don't cast Ice Lance. Legacy of the Arcanist, the Meteor, it will proc the Fire and Frost Meteor on cooldown with our build, so it is very cool. Lich's Calling, one of the new spells. Essentially what it does is it just gives Ice Prism 30% more damage, which is huge in uncapped AoE. Wild Fellfire, when you Chaos Bolt, you put a mini Rain of Fire. That stacks, that is modified by the Frost modifier, so that is very nice. Once again, huge uncapped AoE, and in single target, it's also not so bad, 3%. Stormborn, when you Storm Strike, you do a wave of nature damage in front of you, really sick for uncapped. Howl of Winter, when you Cone of Cold, which you do quite often, you increase your Deep Freeze damage by a huge amount, so this is very, very nice. Frozen Chaos, we talked about it. Critical Prism, Ice Prism can crit, absolutely clutch, and also you get 6% more crit on the Ice Prism target, so once again, a very high value from a single talent point. Freezing Strike, Frostbrand weapon deals 15% increased damage, of course, but Storm Strike gives you Fingers of Frost. So this is what actually enables you to use Deep Freeze. I have macroed Deep Freeze into Storm Strike, so every time I Storm Strike and I get those Fingers of Frost, if it's available, Deep Freeze will be cast in that global as well because it is off the GCD. Chilling Blows. Frostbrand hits extend the duration of Deep Freeze. That's not important, but it reduces the cooldown on enemies that can't be immune to, that can't be stunned. So that is bosses. Essentially, it reduces has huge CDR on Deep Freeze. Prepare for Shatter, 6% more frost damage. Shamanistic Rage Harvest. This is what enables you to use Shamanistic Rage on cooldown, essentially. I have also keybound it into Wind Strike, so every time I press it, if it's available, it just gets triggered. And lastly, Frostflame Brain Shock. It increases your icicle damage by 20%. However, I don't think it's worth the global because by itself it does absolutely negligible damage, so it is very, very sad. And just a quick pass through the common and uncommon talents. Let's see if there's anything worth mentioning. Crit damage, crit, okay. This cone of cold damage. The only important one that I really highly recommend you look out for, besides mental quickness, of course, and empowering frostbolt, obviously, because you're casting frostbolt. Honor Among Thieves, because you need combo point generation to press Winds of Winter. And I am also personally missing, and Frozen Power is also super important. And the last talent I am missing is Power Loop. And this, when I consume Maelstrom Weapon, I get 2 combo points, which is going to be absolutely huge in AoE as you're casting Hydricicles, the AoE version of Frostbolt. You get way more combo points and you can pump out way more Winds of Winter. Okay, that was simple. Going over the abilities, Frostbolt, single target, Divine Shield and Immunity, absolutely necessary Mythic Plus. Kick the same, Ice Lance to release the Icicles. Ice Barrier is a really nice defensive, and there's also a really cool Ice Barrier talent. Gives you 3% overall damage, so by itself you can kind of justify putting it in your build. And also while Ice Barrier is up, your Frost damage is increased by another 6%. And when Ice Barrier shatters, you do a little bit of AoE. So I guess that is pretty cool. Arcane Power, your main cooldown. Storm Strike, Soul Link, absolutely clutch Mythic Plus, 6% damage reduction. Shamanistic Rage for all the interactions. Deep Freeze, single target. Frostflame Shock might actually not be necessary, so maybe we drop it. Pure Chaos Bolt, the only one that you can basically use because it stacks with frost modifiers. Winds of Winter, an absolutely insane variant of Cone of Cold. If you have combo point generation, you will see this pops off insanely hard in Uncapped AoE. Explosive charges. So when you Lava Lash or Ice Lash in our case, you do Uncapped AoE and good single target. It is very, very good ability to bring. Wind Strike, which is Storm Strike. Ice Prism. Twisted Mind, 60 spell power, very cool. Chaos Meteor, the bread and butter of our AoE, as you will see. You just spam Chaos Meteor on cooldown in AoE. Focal Point, 6% crit from your friends. Smoke Bomb is my only defensive, but it also brings utility to the party, so this is why I chose it. Charge for Gap Closer, Frostbrand Weapon for the Frozen Power talent, and also to reduce the cooldown of Deep Freeze. Absolutely necessary in this build. Summon Felguard as a pet, 5% damage, 5% damage reduction. Ice Lash, Lava Lash, Solar Beam, very obvious. Shimmer as a blink, another version of Cone of Cold that is way better than the actual Cone of Cold, so this one is super cool. Hydricicles, the AoE Frostbolt, and Rend for Elemental Rend. Oh, Seal of Command as well. It does like 1 to 2% overall damage in a key, so it is really kind of shitty. I'm thinking maybe I drop it and I get another defensive. Okay, for the gear, I'm currently running the Tier 2 Paladin set. It's very nice, especially because the 8 set stacks is modified by Frost, and it does pretty decent damage. And then for the off pieces, I just have full spell power off pieces as high spell power as I can find, and spell power weapons. For the trinkets, it's just Neltarian Steer, Ascended Onyxia badge. So these are, I think, are really good value. Just make sure you're hit cap. That's the only important thing. For the REs, Frozen Power, 6% more Fire and Frost. Fire also buffs Chaos Meteor and AoE, which is what we're going for. Devastation, 6% more crit on Chaos Bolts. Draconic Storm Strike, 9% more crit on proc. 2% crit. Lunar Guidance for intellect to spell damage conversion. It's still good since you have a lot of off-pieces with intellect, and the Paladin set also gives intellect. And then Cryokinesis to increase the attack power coefficient of Cone of Cold. This one might not be worth it after I did a test, but once you get the combo points for Winds of Winter, it is for sure worth it in Uncapped AoE. Winds of Winter does unbalanced damage. And the last one is just 2% frost damage. So I think this kind of covers everything. I'm just gonna light up my cigarette and talk you guys through the rotation. For AoE, it's very straightforward. You want to make sure you keep Ice Prism on all the targets that you're engaged with. So as the tank keeps adding mobs into Mythic Plus, your number one priority should be to put Ice Prism and to spread Ice Prism around. And once you have Ice Prism on everything, you want to Cone of Colds on cooldown for the sustain on Ice Prism. And then Chaos Meteor every, I think, third global, with your globals in between being either Frostbolt or Storm Strike or Ice Slash. So let's take a look at how it looks. Ice Barrier for 6% more frost damage. And we go in, firstly spread, Chaos Meteor, Chaos Meteor, Ice Slash, Chaos Meteor, Storm Strike. I do here one more just to spread it again. Cone of Cold, 5 combo point Cone of Cold, Chaos Meteor. So this is 6 target and we're like holding around 70k, 80k. Once we get the combo point generation, I think it should be even better. Or maybe we should be Chaos Meteoring with 2 stacks. Let's see if it climbs up with 2 stacks. 1 stack, cast it, and get another stack as it falls. 1 stack, cast it, get another stack as it falls. Here I just put it on cooldown. Drop 5 combo points. Sustaining around 74k, not even that optimized. And I think I should prio Ice Slash a little bit more. 5 combo points. And probably cast it with a little bit, with 3 stacks. I think this all depends on how it will work out as the tank pulls. We'll stop here. From the damage breakdown, Chaos Meteor obviously first. Maybe we should prioritize a little bit more Corrupted Maelstrom weapon stacks on it. And Ice Slash as well should cast maybe a bit more Ice Slash, even though Stormborn is doing so good. Ideally, if you want to optimize it, you should track the internal cooldown of Stormborn. Make sure you don't Storm Strike unless you have Stormborn, and then prio Ice Slash over that, over the Storm Strike without Stormborn. But 70k sustain is pretty nice on 6 targets. The power of this spec is actually not 6 target cleave, which would be better suited for maybe a TG warrior, but rather uncapped AoE on rather like 20 or 30 targets. Okay, boyos, for single target, you want to make sure you cast as a main priority Pure Chaos Bolt with 3 stacks of Corrupted Maelstrom weapon. You want to upkeep Elemental Rend, and you want to try to do Winds of Winter with 4 to 5 combo points, kind of as much as you can. Not fully sure if Glacial Spike is worth, but we have to get up the stacks of Howl of Winter. At the moment, because I'm missing Power Loop, it does not really warrant pressing Glacial Spike rather than Winds of Winter, because I don't have the combo points. So once I do get Power Loop, I think my single target would go up to like maybe 35k. Okay, let's give it a try. We can go without Arcane Power. 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon. Rend is up. Corrupted Maelstrom. Combo points. We can get Arcane Power up. Get Rend up again. Discharge Arcane. 3 combo points. So around like 30k-ish. Maybe actually I should keep up Howl of Winter to the max when I see it's about to go away. Dropped Rend, sadly. Discharge Icicles. Let's do one big 67k cross decrease. Decent. And I'm forgetting Rend throughout all of this. So that I should actually definitely track that. But that is basically the gist of it. And the nice thing is it builds up to like 30k-ish pretty fast. So it has like good burst, considering that the main power of the spec is meant to be uncapped AoE. I'm pretty pleased with this single target, like on-demand single target. It's very prio and it has some nice cleave as well. Okay boys, I think this kind of covers the guide for today. Let's look at the breakdown. Pure Chaos Bolt with some 45k crits. Dip Freeze, 67k crit. Yeah, kind of as you expected it. The Icicles are doing really well, 4% single target. So I should really watch out and drop that. With a little bit more optimization, easily 30k. And with the Power Loop talent, probably 35k because the Deep Freeze will constantly be doing a lot more. The Howl of Winter is just such a clutch buff if you can keep it up 50% more, up to 150% more on Deep Freeze. You just need the combo points to warrant casting Winds of Winter. Alrighty boys, I hope you enjoyed the guide. Stay tuned for a lot more guides coming out. We're gonna have Holy Fire Mage, maybe Elemental Rend, it's kinda shit, but if we get it working, probably. Lava Sweep, two variants of TG, uh, Pure Shadow, of course, a different variant of this, Chaos Shatter, but we shall see how it goes. And then as well Solar Bomber. So stay tuned at least for these videos and most certainly more to come. Thank you for watching, lads. Have a nice evening.